everybody. Brock Morrison from the Short Round Podcast. I'm here with Matt or Matthew Phillips, CEO, president of Arena Wars. Is that what you would say?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that works.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well, no, thank you. Matt, it's always the same three questions, no matter who you are. It keeps it on an evil playing field, not evil, level playing field. Even. Okay. Either way, that's the way it works.
I got you.
You know, the funny thing is usually I'm doing these over Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's a little bit different than when you're sitting there just talking to somebody. But no, it's the same three questions. How you got into martial arts, how and why. What's martial arts doing in your life now? And what's your plans for the future? So, ladies and gentlemen, we're also here in the arena that we're getting ready to have an event tonight. Well, he is, not me. I'm going to be present, but you're actually going to have a fight tonight. So
yep,
here we are. And I'll take some pictures of the ring and things later on. But first question, man, how and why you got into martial arts?
So it wasn't at an early age. I started off as an athlete. Always been an athlete all my life. Played sports, mostly baseball.
Okay.
Was pretty good at that. High level baseball player. Got scouted different major league teams and stuff. Never thought about wrestling. Never thought about
basketball.
Nah, never. I never did nothing. I power lifted and strength and conditioning, and so I was always physically fit and strong, and just kind of focused on baseball. And then when I got out of high school, joined the Marine Corps. So it's a fighting culture.
Yep.
That's what they're all about. And, I kind of, once I immersed into that, I was like, man, I like this.
How many years did you serve in there? 93
to 97.
Okay.
So, which was standard enlistment back in that time. And, we did, of course, they had, it was called line training, linear infighting. Neurological engagement was their combative back then. Now it's MCMAP, which is more of a mixed martial arts.
I was going to say it's the MAP program.
Yeah. And that's a lot better than what we had, but they did combat boxing and pugil sticks and all that stuff. And back then was also the early days of the UFC, right? So it was still Wild West.
Yep.
And I was never big on wrestling or, this jiu-jitsu back then. I was more of a striker. And so I took up the kickboxing and striking. I just like the kind of more violent physical sports. Well,
and even you still have that today. I mean, yes, you have mixed martial arts, but you still have your kickboxing. You still have, Muay Thai fights that it has nothing to do with ground. So that makes sense.
Well, and this, fighting's evolved. So like when I started back then, so I got in the Marine Corps 97, and then I started training dedicated to with a kickboxing coach. That was Dennis Alexio's former training partner. Dennis Alexio was a famous kickboxer back in the day. And then I transferred to him to a guy named Kirby Barker, who was like the epitome of a true martial artist. And he was a reality based guy. He wasn't a pat on the back. Oh, you look good. It was all reality based. The guys.
Well, that's funny though. Like you sit there and say that, certain people know different martial artists, right? I was a cook, a chef for years. That'd be like everybody knowing every chef out there in the world, right? Sure. But everybody, there's circles of everybody that has different things,
Yeah, and everybody appeals to, there's some guys that just like everybody's got a different style. It's just like with food, everybody's got a different flavor that they like, and martial arts is no different. For me, martial arts, the big draw to it is I like reality stuff, like being in the Marine Corps and kind of transitioning from that as my inauguration to the combat sports, so to speak. That was all based off reality.
Well, yeah.
So that's kind of guided my pursuit of martial arts. So when I met Kirby, him being a reality based guy and all the different stuff he's done really meshed well. And then over the years, I competed, and that was kind of like first, second generation when they were taking good strikers and putting them against the wrestlers and this and that. And then of course, as that evolved, you've seen even guys like Randy Couture, he learned how to strike, and Chuck Liddell learned, he had a wrestling background, but
didn't he have he had a boxing background too, didn't he?
Yeah, he boxed a little bit in the Army. And so I reached out, and we had Les Gutches who was Olympic silver medalist wrestler
Oh, wow.
out of Oregon, from Southern Oregon, because he went to South Medford. I went to North Medford, couple age groups of difference. Went to Corvallis, OSU. And of course, we kind of had a few mutual friends. So there was a point probably like in 99 or 2000, I started training with him a little bit, or he was teaching me. I wasn't,
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't nothing. He was basically introducing me to wrestling and kind of helping polish my game up. And then through him, his brothers and some other, that wrestling community, we kind of got introduced, and then we basically had our own little training group back in the day, which had a lot of great guys. We had Josh Haynes that trained with us, who went to the UFC, and John Gunderson, who went to the UFC. And
yeah, it's kind of funny how you get those little groups that sit there and train, and you have different, it's kind of like a soup, a soup training, somebody's good at this, somebody's good at that, and you put everybody together. And when you train, it involves each person something different.
Yeah. And that's what it was. If you look at like late 90s, early 2000s, that's what it was, is the good striker coming in and training with the wrestler. And you've seen it at all levels.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd see guys like Randy Couture, who was one of the best athletes ever. And then they're bringing in one of the best kickboxing guys ever. And then they're each exchanging. And, fast forward now, martial art or mixed martial arts is, like, I call it the fifth generation.
Yeah.
You have guys that are competing now that were looking at it like weren't even born maybe.
Yep.
When I started, right? And now it's just like they grow up, they don't know any different.
Well, you sit there and think, what was it, 92, 93? Was it December of 92?
Yeah, 93. 93 was the Denver UFC.
And you sit there and think, I mean, if, our children would be growing up watching it, and then, growing just like, football and stuff like that, keep going. And I think myself, that MMA has became its own style of fighting.
Oh, 100%.
Before you had your karate guys, and you had your wrestlers, and you had your boxers, and really they took all that and mixed it all together to make its own fighting style.
Yeah.
That's even applicable for, sports, or even for the self-defense, because that's like one of my biggest things is with martial arts is self-defense. It used to be just like, the combat part of it, the sport combat part of it, to where now it's more geared to self-defense for me.
Yeah, and it depends. Everybody, you talk to enough people, there's some guys that just love jujitsu. They love competing jujitsu. They don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
But the guys that like to box, they don't want to get on the ground, but and it's still like that. And then you have other people that kind of dabble a little bit. And then you have some that are just like, they don't know any different. They grew up doing mixed martial arts, and they have their own style to them, because it's not cookie cutter, because you have some people have been training for 10 years that are maybe better on their feet, or that's what they like, but there's you take them to the ground and you're probably still going to do bad.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the cool thing about the sport, though. And it's evolved a lot. And of course it's still really infant.
Oh, it is.
It's only 30 years old, roughly, in this country. It's been around other places for a long time, but compared to like the NFL and NBA and stuff like that, I mean, even boxing's been.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if you go down to like Brazil, where they had the Vale Tudo, those guys right there, like, you're way behind the times.
Yeah, they were doing that stuff. Them
like 1902 or something.
Yeah,
like
they've been doing that. Yeah, they're way past where we.
And it was more brutal too, because you're sitting there talking, almost what the early UFC, the beginning, the first few, until they started doing that. And I kind of do miss that, and I understand the reason why they done it, because, but I like the, no weight classes, I like the no time limit, but I understand why.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, the show that I've always thought was the pinnacle for the combat sports was Pride FC.
Okay.
And, Pride did it in a boxing ring, UFC, of course, an octagon.
Which made it totally different looking.
Yeah, which was different. But, Pride, I think, got into more the entertainment side.
Yep.
They would bring in the giant against the little guy. They would do the tournaments, which was great. I mean, the rules were a little wider. Of course, it's in Japan, not the US.
And the reason why I think that might have been more acceptable is because, like I'm tapping the cage because I literally got a cage right beside me. People see a cage, something where you put animals in, right?
Yeah, sure.
A boxing ring, even a grandmother, takes her back to Ali and,
Sure.
things like that. So it makes it a totally different outlook, right?
Well, from a business side of it, even looking at this cage, because I own a boxing ring also, because we do boxing and kickboxing, the viewability in a boxing ring is a lot better, because on the cage we have 8 poles here, we have 8 corner pads that take up a foot of viewable space.
Yeah.
In a boxing ring, you don't have that.
Nope.
So there's some, and I think part of Pride's concept was probably just, plus, Pride was, they were doing kickboxing.
Yeah.
They'd do the professional wrestling. Then they'd have the MMA guys. And
to be honest with you, I didn't even know this about Bellator until I had Gabriel Baga on. That Bellator actually had its own kickboxing
Yep.
Division. I had no clue about that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad.
Well, and I don't think they do very much with it.
Yeah. But it's kind of sad that, you would sit there and think that they would even promote that more, because you do have some people that are not into the MMA.
Right.
They're more into the kickboxing and, the Muay Thai and things like that. They're not interested into the,
Sure.
the whole mixed part of it.
Yeah. Well, and that's like with our business model, we do all the combat sports.
Yep.
Depending on what state we're in is about how far we're going to go with it, because everybody's got different rules. But one of our signature events is where we put the boxing ring and the cage side by side. And then we let the boxers and the kickboxers fight in the natural environment. And then we let the MMA guys fight in their natural environment.
I tell you what, then that's a really, really cool. That'd have to be a really cool thing. I haven't seen that yet, but just visual, that would just have to be something cool, because you're like, I'm ready to watch this combat, but guess what? I'm also going to see this kind of combat,
Well, and you'd be surprised. So the last time I did that was in 2019 on NBC Sports.
Okay.
And so I've done 3. Of course, it's quite the undertaking to put one show on. It's harder when you start to add that in. So
and you would need a bigger auditorium.
Oh yeah, you got to have a huge facility.
This is a smaller place, but if you was able to do that, that would just pretty much almost eliminate your.
Yeah, the facilities we use for that are huge.
Yeah,
like, they're big. But we've had 3 successful ones. I think, most people just kind of live and die on MMA. They live and die on boxing.
Yeah.
It's, so they don't, from a business standpoint, they don't do that kind of undertaking. From ours, though, it's really great when you see everybody say, oh, MMA is so popular, UFC's on every channel, and it is, right? Yeah. But when we've done those events, the fight of the night every time has been boxing.
And it's funny that you say that, but I mean, you're starting to see more grappling events.
Yep.
Straight grappling. Now, matter of fact, I think even tonight you have a combat grappling.
Yeah,
match.
We're doing the first combat jiu-jitsu match in Oregon.
Look at you, just sitting there.
Yeah.
Just sitting there being a road paver.
Yeah, no, that's what we do.
Oh, and that's good. So once you started training, with your buddies and stuff, and you got that group, did you ever go into yourself any professional fights, or was that more of a training thing that you wanted to do to get the knowledge of it?
No, I competed quite a bit in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Okay.
And it was the Wild West days, so there wasn't that many guys putting on shows because it was illegal in most places. And I fought in the IFC, which was the International Fighting Championship. It was the kind of counterpart for the UFC. It was owned by Paul Smith. Yeah. Monty Cox had the Extreme Challenge.
Challenge.
He was paving that.
Then he had what? World Combat Champion.
Yeah, so they had WEC. I competed with them. WEF, which was owned by Frank Pirelli.
King of the Cage.
Yeah, King of the Cage was there. And then Super Brawl in Hawaii. I competed there a couple times. And
how was your record? I always have to ask this about people.
So if I was about a 50-50 MMA fighter.
Hey.
Kickboxing, I was excellent.
All right.
Because I kickboxed quite a bit, kickbox in Denver and different places. So striking background, it's just, you get people on your feet and it's great. The grappling,
so really, Matt, I had, you can pretty much say from the time that you graduated high school all the way up to your life now, you have been into combat.
Yeah.
No matter if it was in the Marines or,
Yeah. So if you go from 97 to now, March of this year was 25 years being involved in combat sports. If you go back to the Marine Corps and you add 4 more years on, that's 29 years being involved with combat related stuff.
So
which is more than half my life.
Yeah. So we can almost sit there and say, what in combat you would be like a 6th or 7th degree black belt or something like that.
I don't know about that. I've sparred with guys that are 6th and 7th degree black belts, and it's like,
no, we're just sitting there
those
saying,
are bought.
Yeah, we're just sitting there saying, metaphorically that, with your experience,
Yeah, I have a lot of time dedicated into,
that's just like my wife. She has like a bachelor's degree in something, or something. She has a degree in something, and she'll smack me later for that, and that's fine. But she's been in childhood development abuse and sexual abuse in children 6 and under, which I don't even want to get into that.
Sure.
But her experience gives her way more, to be able to get forth a job.
Sure.
Than somebody that has, master degree and things like that, because she actually had. So that makes sense with you.
Yeah, I've dedicated a lot of my life to, combat. Period. Combat sports, combat related stuff.
Now, did you ever just go and do one style? Did you ever say, what, I want to go do karate, or I want to go do kung fu or whatever?
Not really. So most of my training is I worked out with, and I still do. I train with a guy named Kirby Barker, who was more of a reality based, striker. He's a former world champion kickboxer. He's fought, just any kind of fighting imaginable. And in most cases for a martial artist, he's, held in high regard, even amongst the well-known martial artists, like just as a reality base. I mean, he's good.
I might have to check him out.
I mean, he's, I put him on a pedestal, but I've been around a lot of guys. I would say he's one of the baddest dudes ever.
Okay.
Right. And he's competed. It's not like he's one of these paper tigers that are just like, oh, this is how you do it. He's like, this is how we do it, and this is why we do it this way.
And this is what's effective.
Yeah. And he's a pusher. Like, he's not a, oh, hey man, that looked good. He's like, you can't hit any harder than that.
Yep.
Do it again.
Yep.
Right. And so for me, that, that was kind of, working out with him elevated my game, compared to the guys that I used to spar with and get coached by and strike with. Once I started working out with him, I could go back and spar with those guys, and it was super easy.
Okay.
Right. And so
you could actually see what he was teaching.
I could,
actually had an effect on, on what you was doing.
Yeah. Cause there was guys I was kickboxing with that they were competitive. They're black belts in Taekwondo and different backgrounds, and we'd spar, and it would be pretty competitive.
Okay.
And then once I kind of moved away, and I dedicated about 6 straight months with this guy, and then decided, well, let's go back and test it. And I go back and spar with those guys. It was like nothing. I mean, I had no problem with them at all. And so that kind of hooked me on the fact that, oh, this is the guy that matches my style. Right.
That makes sense.
Right. So if you take a wrestler and, it's good to have him work out with a guy like that. But if, like at his core, he knows he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
Right. And so everybody's kind of attracted to different people. And so that's where most of my martial arts has been to. And we've worked not just on the striking stuff, but on knife fighting and, leg locks and just grapple, real world type stuff. And
stuff that you'd be able to use if you walked out of here and somebody wanted to come and tag you.
Yeah, just a lot of, a lot of reality based stuff, and on top of being competitive and all that. And so, I've ventured out. Of course, I've worked out with some boxers, and I've wrestled, with guys, and I've done a lot of grappling. I mean, I have quite a bit of time under there.
Yeah.
I'm not ranked in that. I got I do have a black belt from Kirby.
Okay.
Right. And which is one of, I think he's only ever given 5 out.
Really?
And he's been in the martial arts. I think he's got about 50 years in the martial arts.
Now, what style would that be considered under?
It's just Kirby Barker's.
It'd be like somebody like Ed Parker.
Yeah, it's like well, and he's worked out with Ed Parker and all those guys. I mean,
yeah, I've had Jeff Speakman on here, which worked close, with Ed Parker.
Sure.
I've had Ray Sofa on here.
Yeah.
Sofa. Every time he's
as big as a sofa.
Yeah.
That dude's a monster of a man.
But he is so awesome.
Yeah, no, he's cool.
There. Yeah. So
great athlete too. I always loved watching him. It's awesome to watch.
Matter of fact, I told him, I said, before I ever really knew who you were, I knew you from the video game.
Oh yeah.
And I would always use him because he was always bigger.
Yeah.
And he just laughed. He goes, yeah, a lot of people learned about me from the video game.
Yeah.
So no, that's cool that you got a
and it's kind of like they, mention guys like Ray, Ed Parker and even Chuck Norris and stuff like, all those martial arts, Kirby's, and I think he's better than a lot of those in a lot of ways, but it's just, stylistically,
Yeah.
but he's dedicated a lifelong amount of time.
But you're sitting there
Just like that.
saying, that he was doing it for real life events.
Yeah,
you know?
he's fought just like he's like his mentality, even because he competed hundreds of times, was he wanted to know if it would work or not. Right. And so he may compete Taekwondo just to see if the technique worked, and he may compete, full contact karate, kickboxing. He's fought Bill Wallace.
Okay.
Everybody knows Superfoot.
Old Superfoot.
So he's fought that. He's done all kinds of stuff, but so just for me, like stylistically, it matched up. And like I said,
so you said he's been in for 50 years. So probably like,
probably more than 50.
I wouldn't say it's prime, but like, let's just say his better years would probably be like in the 70s and 80s.
Gosh, that dude he's still smoking people to this day. Right. But his prime, was definitely probably 70s, 80s and
80s.
Yeah. Even in the 90s though.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way even.
But that's strange, because MMA has made martial arts as a whole something that somebody wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because before it was, people would watch movies and they would get a whole thing about martial arts in their head. And it's nothing like, karate. They would sit there and think you walk into a dojo, and people's over there just standing on their heads, meditate. It's nothing like that, but MMA has made people want to go, learn karate, learn this, and maybe get together afterwards and then go into that mixed martial arts to hone their skills.
Yeah.
Well,
and you look at, stylistically, I mean, we got all the wrestlers, Mark Coleman, Randy Couture, then you got the known strikers, the Chuck Liddells and stuff like, Vitor Belforts. But then you got the karate guys, Lyoto Machida, Wonder Boy Thompson. Stylistically, they're just kind of adapting what they were really good at.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, not off, sometimes I'll ask guys questions like, what are you?
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people can't answer that. And the answer could be a million things. It could be, I'm a dad, I'm a Marine Corps veteran or whatever. When it comes to martial arts, it's funny though, because some guys will get it right and they'll say, I'm a wrestler, right? Because they know what they are.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a striker. Other guys, they'll wrestle and then they'll be like, start boxing. Wow, I think I'm a boxer now. Until they get hit in the face by a boxer in a real fight. And right. So it's important that you know what you are, because that's your foundation. Whatever you build on top of it is just bonus tools in the tool bag. Right.
And don't sit there and fool yourself. Sitting there thinking, I trained in Muay Thai, for 6 months, and then come out there and thinking you're going to just be a full Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah.
If you are a wrestler.
Right.
It's not.
And that's at their core, wrestlers are studs, right? I mean, just like the Muay Thai fighters are studs.
Yep.
What makes them better is if you can get a wrestler that knows how to strike a little bit, all of a sudden it might force a guy to have to take you down.
Yeah.
But it also allows you to defend yourself if you can't get the guy down.
I know he's an out of this world athlete and a freak of nature, but like Brock Lesnar.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That dude right there, striking,
well, he's just a giant of a man too. I mean, he's
just humongous. Matter of fact, it was funny that me and him both had our, not in the same, fight, but me and him both had our same first MMA fight the same night. Brock Lesnar, Brock Morrison. Yeah, we both lost, but I was also fighting with a broken neck and didn't know it.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. So, now when you started getting into what you're doing now, did you ever train anybody, or was it more?
Nah, not really.
Wasn't your thing?
I don't mind. Not really. I never really set out to be a coach or have a gym or a group of fighters. It's, if for me, that's a big separation when I got into the business too, the business side of promoting. It happens a lot. I'm dead set against promotions that promote their own shows and then have their own gyms and their own fighters. It develops too big of a conflict of interest. Like it'd be like me calling you up, hey, Brock, do you want to fight?
Yeah.
my guy Derek,
Yeah.
right? And you're on my show.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
probably not going to feel like that's friendly
Yeah.
territory, right? And so
Yeah.
I've never really wanted to creep down that path and do it, because I'm more focused on the business side. I'll go in, and of course I like to work out and do all that stuff.
And you're
And
still into that? Or are you
Yeah.
still training?
yeah,
I
as
mean,
much as I can. I mean, which is not often,
yeah, when you're
but
busy, dude, and everything.
but I like it, and I don't mind. Like however you see me now is how I am with
Yeah.
the gyms in Eugene. It's how I am with the gyms in Klamath, Florida, wherever we go. I mean, I'm the same dude. So I don't play favorites there, and I do like to train. So I'll, but I just don't get.
Well, that actually kind of brings us into question number 2. What are you doing in the reason why, usually we do it a little bit longer, but I know you're got so much to
I'm
do.
on a time schedule today.
Time schedule. Yeah. It's not like he's just, hanging out, he actually has a fight that he has to put on, and it's on what? Is it on, who also promotes your fights? Is it NBC or?
Yeah. So this one tonight is not on NBC
NBC.
Sports. So we do televise. Well, we've been filming all the events.
Yeah.
Right. So nowadays with all the platforms, we'll go, stream in Facebook Live. On the bigger shows, we'll go NBC Sports and pay-per-view and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's where we're at now. We're at question number 2. So this man can actually go and do some work. My podcast ain't that important, so
it's fun. It's better than doing what I was doing.
Yeah. Hey, and if you think he's just sitting in the back, just telling people what to do, no. I came in here and he's in here wiping down chairs. Which how many owners are out there doing that, right?
Well, the good owners are out there doing it.
They should be,
Yeah,
right?
the good owners should be doing it.
Yeah. So question number 2, what are you doing with martial arts in your life now? Obviously, let's get into, arena wars and things like that. And it's arena wars fighting series. It's not. So let's get into that. Like, what made you get into doing that?
Well, that's probably a bigger story for a long time.
Okay, then
long story short is, I've been a business guy all the time. I told you earlier, I had a payphone company, furniture stores, grocery business, stuff like that. So my mind's always around business related stuff.
So let me just ask you, this right here would probably sum it up. You like business, you like doing business, you like fighting, you like combat sports. So you said, why not?
So what I like about business, just the way I'm wired, is the same thing I like about the Marine Corps. It's the same thing I like about martial arts, stuff like that. It's all challenging.
Okay.
Right. So you don't wake up and ever get it right. You have to work to get it right every day. Right. So you got to be creative. And I've done all kinds of jobs. So I'm not opposed to doing anything at all. Anybody that thinks I am needs to come in and watch me clean the toilets after the fights and wipe down the chairs and do all the dirty work. So I'll do it all. But what I like about business is it just because my mind wired the way it is it constantly forces you to think and be smart and and creative and adaptive. And to some extent, I like being under the pressure.
So it's actually almost like a fight, also a mental fight,
Yeah,
pretty much.
It is, because this is not all fun and games.
No.
Everybody sees, oh, you did a fight in Mexico. That's got to be great. That was work. Mexico's cool, but that was a lot of pressure, right?
Because you have to deal with, getting things imported. You have to sit there.
Yeah, it's not just you just don't show up and say, hey, man, I'm just here. We're going to do this at the bullfighting arena, whatever. It's it. So it's but for business in general, and it could be any business. I can get behind the thought of any business. This one really what drove me into it. I just had a gap in my life where just everything was going great, and then everything turned to crap overnight, and it was just how it is. I mean, you get divorced, and the business you have just went from being great to whatever the Rubik's Cube is. And of course, having been involved with this business all the time, it was the one where I had experimented with a little bit, and when life took its turn, I really had to sit back and say, okay, do I want to do it? Well, at the time, timing's everything. There was, as the popularity of the fights went on, the story is the same. Wannabe promoters popped up all over the place, and, they were putting on crap shows, and they were just it was just a black eye in it all over. So a lot of people came to me and said, hey, what do you think about, why don't you do the show? I'd already had a lot of experience in the business, and I was a lot of people don't know I run guerrilla marketing and CAD campaigns for other businesses, and So I was, kind of working the Rubik's Cube out of how do you actually make this financially feasible.
Yeah. And I'm going to sit there and say this to anybody. I think guerrilla marketing is probably one of the best forms of marketing, period.
I think it's the best.
It is.
It's the way you get the best bang for the buck because it's targeted exactly what you needed.
Yep.
Not what you don't.
You're not putting it out there, and hopefully somebody that's interested is, checking into it. You're looking for the people.
Yeah. If you're not guerrilla marketing, you're basically fishing in a pool with one fish in there.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead because, like I said, I know you're busy and things. Talk to them about what Arena Wars is. Like, because like I said, it's a fighting series. It's not just MMA. Explain actually, and why did you come up with that?
Yeah, so my basic business model is that we're in the entertainment business, right? Okay. So if you look at just about every other organization worldwide, they do MMA, they do boxing, they do kickboxing, they do concerts or whatever.
But not together.
Not together. Yeah. Individually, separate, like that's their business model.
Yeah.
Some of them have great success. The failure rate is like 97%. So I think in our long run, and we got this really long vision, right? It's not a short game.
Yep.
It was to really jump into the entertainment side of stuff. And even though we're in the combat sports side, for me, the entertainment side also included all the combat sports because you got fans for all of them and you got great athletes in all of them. And on some of our shows, not on all of them, we'll have, instead of a halftime intermission or 15-minute, we'll bring a hip hop band in or country band in or whatever, entertain the crowd, right? Because at the end of the day, the guys competing, they're entertainers. They could be a mixed martial artist, kickboxer, boxer. At the end of the day, they're in the entertainment business, just like I am. And what we're trying to do is when people, sponsor the event, pay money, they want to advertise with you, whatever, they want to walk away feeling like they got their money's worth.
Yeah.
All right. Sometimes you can't do that on just an MMA fight or just a boxing. And sometimes that MMA guy that you couldn't normally get to a boxing match, they start to cross over and if they walk away saying, frick, man, I got to see 7-8 fights that night and a little concert.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's good.
So you do MMA, you do,
it'd be easier for me to tell you what we don't do.
Okay.
So we don't do knife fights and we don't do gun fights.
But you're doing grappling matches. You're doing a combat grappling. You do kickboxing. Do you do Muay Thai or?
Yeah, we do it all. Even in North Dakota, we'll do tag team boxing, tag team kickboxing, tag team MMAs. I'm telling you, it's easier for me to tell you what we don't do.
Wow. Well, so you're just a mixed martial art fighting company.
Yeah, by the true definition, it is. I mean, by true.
It really
like
is.
Some people say, I'm in the mixed martial arts business.
No, you are.
No, we're really in the mixed martial arts business.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's actually really cool.
And just like tonight. So tonight you're going to see, we have 5 different combat sports tonight.
And it's awesome.
Right. And so you'll turn around and October 22nd up in Salem, we'll bring out the boxing ring. That'll be headlined by pro boxers, but we're going to have pro boxing, kickboxing, MMA.
So let's explain it. You're amateur and pro, correct?
Yep.
So you've even had amateur and then pro in one night, right?
Yeah, we do it all the time. We got it mixed tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
So once again, the first question is always the longest. Second is a little bit shorter than the first. Let's get right into third so you can go do what you need to do. Go clean some toilets.
It's 11:30.
Yeah, that's afterwards. Right?
Yeah.
So what is your plans for martial arts in the future? What is your plan? What is your whole martial art goal in the future?
Well, on a personal level, probably to promise myself to train more because I need to get active. Time's an issue there. So on a business level, we're really working hard to get Arena Wars nationwide, which we're licensed in about 12 states right now.
All right.
Of course, we're not active in 12 states all the time this year.
And you're based out of Oregon.
Yeah, we're based out of Southern Oregon. Okay. So we've done, several states. We got several states under our belt even this year. We've done them. Yeah, we've had a really active schedule this year. So next year, we're going to continue to grow on to that. So we'll probably hit 18 or 20 shows next year.
Oh, wow. Which
is going to include at least one in Hawaii. So we're going to add Hawaii into the fold. We've been into Mexico. We probably won't be into Mexico next year. We're going to continue, of course, growing. We have some casinos that are coming on board, and then our TV deals are getting a little bigger. So we're just going to kind of keep adding the pieces of the puzzle until
just one punch at a time. Then,
yeah,
right?
until everybody says, look, pump the brakes, little man. We can only do so many shows.
Well, that's when you start having to make a clone of yourself, or because you pretty much do it all, don't you?
Yeah, I'm pretty active. I do it. We brought our matchmaker Derek Bruin on this year, which has been best add-on we've had. He's been able to take a huge burden off of me, because he's just dealing with the matchmaking, which has allowed us to increase the volume of events we have. And then I've had
because that takes so much off of you, because you're not trying to set up an event, then find the fighters for the event.
Yeah, and you can easily get bogged down. We've had we're at about a dozen events this year. One guy, it's hard enough to do one event by himself, let alone a dozen. In a year. So we have a good team. I've got the gal that I'm with, puts up with all the my late hours, and just she's you could ask her. I'm absolutely relentless when it comes to work. Like, I'm absolutely relentless, and sometimes it drives her nuts. She probably wants to throw punch me or something, so I'll quit talking on the phone or whatever. But
trust me, I understand.
Yeah, she's been good. She runs our beverage service, which we own, and helps run the front end and stuff like that. We have a good solid crew that works there. We've got Derek, and then Troy's been with me for about 6 or 7 years now. So he's been about my right hand guy. And he's kind of seen the roller coaster that he's been around all the bad shows.
And you have the announcer too. That's pretty much on all the same ones, right?
Now we
switch them on.
Yeah, we've been switching up a little bit. We have like Garrett that we worked with quite a bit. He's been great. And
pretty.
yeah. Garrett's a great one. And we have other guys that have kind of come in and come out, and we really run a small, it's lean and mean. It's
but with a big punch though, right? I mean, because you're doing better than a small town promoter, or
we're not small town. I think so.
So you're actually, I didn't mean that you're small town, but you're doing better than
Well, if you look at it like this, so most promotions have a hard time doing one city.
That's true.
Right. So we do multiple cities, multiple states. I've been international.
Okay.
Right. And then I do all the combat sports. Once you factor all those in with the volume of shows that we've been doing, just by the numbers, it puts us in the top 15 in the world.
Okay. Yeah, because I even seen a thing where because I never do really any research on anybody, because I've said this a million times. I don't want to ask questions that I already know the answer to.
Sure.
That's boring for me. That's boring for you. And, people watching it's going to see,
Sure.
Even if I ask a stupid question, like I had this guy, Bruno, that fights in karate combat, which is Lachita.
Right. Yep.
They said it's his protege. He teaches at his dojo. He grew up with Lachita. And I said, he goes, well, I had a couple MMA fights. And I'm like, well, where did you have these? Were they, independent? He goes, no, I was in the UFC.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, before I let you go, please let everybody know where. What I wanted to tell you is like, you guys his fights are viewed in like what? Over like 10 million view, over a period of time.
Yeah, we've had it. I actually have a cheat sheet. So we've been viewed in about 50 countries. I think probably since 2019, we've been viewed by like 78 million people on some of the fights. Of course, some of them, you can look on Facebook and 500 views and this and that, but we're pumping out some pretty decent numbers on the back end and stuff, and
cool.
Like I said, it's been growing. We're down to the last 2 for this year.
Yeah.
After this one.
Okay.
Yeah, we still have 2 more, and then we're already planning actually into 2024. I have events planned out already.
Oh wow, then you're all set up. So before I let you go, man, and I really do appreciate anybody that takes time out of their schedule to talk to me. I ramble on sometimes.
Sure.
I forget what questions I already asked. Hey, I'm a stay-at-home dad that likes to talk to people. And for some reason, people come and talk to me, and I have no reason why, right?
That's all right. People still come to help me out, even though they know they got to work. So
exactly. Just let everybody know where they can go and find Arena Wars and, Facebook and all that. Whether they just type in Arena Wars or.
Yeah, Arena Wars on Facebook is our most active platform. Of course, we're on Instagram, which is coming along. We're developing it. We got a arenawarsfightingseries.com
Okay.
as a website.
YouTube? Are you guys
Yeah,
on
we got
or-
YouTube. It's I believe it's just Arena Wars,
Okay.
Arena Wars Fighting Series on YouTube. I'm not really a tech guy, so
Yeah.
I have I don't have that many hours in the day. So other people, I'd kind of say, here, I need you to do this. I don't want to be a YouTube video myself. This thing's frustrating me.
Yeah, no, I trust me. I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I'm tech savvy in a guerrilla way. How about
Yeah,
that?
sure.
You
No,
know,
I get it.
I try to down things as much as I can, make it as simple as
Yeah,
possible for me, and make it as good for somebody that's
Yeah,
watching,
with
right?
technology, you can't. I used to tell everybody, hey, make it to where a 6-year-old can use it.
That's
Sometimes
it.
I got to go to a 6-year-old to have him tell me how to use my phone. So that doesn't work anymore.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, man. So I'm gonna let
Cool.
you go. I 100% appreciate you taking this time to do that, especially on a busy night. And Matthew Phillips, which one you ever want to call him, Arena Wars. Bye, y'all.